All right, so real good win for the Panthers last night. Not that it was a great opponent, but the winning keeps on coming for this Panther team. They remain in first place in the Eastern Conference. They do it in thrilling fashion. Joining us now, Panther great, one of my all-time favorites. Of course, everybody knows that is Ed Jovanovski. You see him on Bally Sports Florida with our pal Jessica Blaylock. Ed, always good having you on. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. This Panther team, to me, it looks like they are the same team that they were in the playoffs last year, but is it possible that they're even better right now than they were in the postseason last year?
Yeah, it's good to be with you. Yeah, that's a good point because I was on a couple NHL shows yesterday and I referred them to obviously the beast of the East. This team is for real. They are better than last year. And I think what they've learned through that playoff run has helped them grow as a team and just get better in every aspect of their game. You look at from the goaltending out, both of them have been excellent. Their defense, now you're starting to see Eki and Monty really kind of chip in offensively. It's been a little bit because of, coming back in November, a little bit of slow start for them, but their defensive side of play has been excellent. And now you go up and down their lineup on the forward lines. I mean, obviously we've seen what the top two lines are doing, but even the third line with Lundell really kind of playing well right now. Luosterainen as well. And then with the fourth line with the energy with Stenlund, Lomberg, and Gadjevich, who loves to drop the gloves. So it's good to see that physical part of the game. But yeah, man, they're clicking right now, and they're going through very good teams that are so-called, cup contenders. And it's been a nice ride thus far. And just to go back on yesterday, it wasn't a very good game. You listen to the coach talk after the game. It wasn't one or two guys. The whole team wasn't very good, but they found a way to win a hockey game, and that's a good sign.
Ekblad and Montour both get goals last night, and I think what's one of the great signs about this team right now, they got off to a decent enough start this season when Ekblad and Montour were out, still recovering from the Stanley Cup playoffs, and now they're starting to get going where they're helping out offensively, starting to get their rhythm going again. And you look at the Panthers' record, they're first place in the Eastern Conference, and two of their top defensemen, it feels like, are finally getting going now.
Yeah, it's almost scary to feel that. And when you look at the production from the back end compared to last year, obviously these guys, Montour had like 70 points or wherever it was. It's taken a little bit, but they found ways. And I recall when the coach was hired, he wanted to implement a game that's going to be conducive for the playoffs and play that stingy defensive style. And that hasn't left. So when you add the offensive part of the game, and it's always nice, you hear the guys, it's always nice to chip in, but these guys are offensive talents. And, a lot of the times their assignments are really, like for Ekblad and Forsling, shutting down top line. So your main focus a lot of the time is, hey, I got this number one line that I got to defend all night. But these guys' instincts on the offensive side are excellent. And it's taken a little bit of time because they've been out since November and had pretty significant surgeries that they're finally rounding into form. And they're going to need it. You want production from your back end. You don't want to rely on it like too much because you still want to take care of the back end. But overall, the six guys that they have back there right now, even Mahura, who hasn't played a lot this year, came in and did an unbelievable job for not playing in a while. But OEL, Kulikov, and Mikkola have done a nice job early on when these two studs were out of the lineup.
Speaking of Kulikov, I mean, how about that hip check at center ice last night?
Right. The old lost start. I said it on the show last night, almost Rob Blake, like you rarely see these hip checks anymore. The timing has to be good. And I think for Cooley, who looks like he shaved 10 years off his playing, he looks like a Kulikov that came in the league. But when you come into a winning situation and very structured system, it brings the best out of you. And these guys are really kind of relishing in this.
All right, so I love the culture of a hockey locker room. So I need you to explain this to me because going into the game last night, I thought there was going to be a lot of bad blood, a lot of fighting. I mean, Bobrovsky, he face mushed. Was it Brady?
Brady, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So he face mushed Brady at one point, but I thought going into the game we were going to see some fights because of what happened the last time the teams played in Ottawa. And remember, you had all the misconducts at the end of the game. Guys were taking a run at Matthew Tkachuk. And so here's the part that I need you to explain to me, Ed, because I find this so interesting. Like that game in Ottawa, and I forget which guy it was for the Senators. He tried to take out Matthew Tkachuk. It was a dirty play. And I always wonder, all right, Brady is the captain of Ottawa. He's on the team. You understand, hey, you got to do what you got to do. It's us against them. But when it comes to like dirty plays like that, when he's committing a dirty play against Brady Tkachuk's brother, like, is that okay? Does Brady say to him after, I understand we got to go hard at each other, but that is my brother. You can't try and, take him out where he loses games and loses checks. I always wonder how that dynamic works when you have brother versus brother. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think when you play against your brother, first of all, I think it's probably the coolest thing, having the ability to, compete against your brother. And the thing is with Brady, he is a very emotional player, and so is Matthew. And Matthew likes the physical part of the game, and Brady even more so. But I don't think that there's, Brady would look at his teammate and be happy about if there was a dirty play. I still think you're competing and you're going to play hard against his brother no matter who it is. But I really don't know in that situation. I actually can't recall even, the hit, how dirty it looked or was. But, especially if Matthew missed some time over that, I'm sure Brady would say, hey, listen, what the heck were you doing, or thinking. But, once the puck drops, these guys compete. And sometimes you might even forget you're competing against your brother. But overall, these two guys are high emotional players, and they play hard. And sometimes they actually invite, they bring the fight within the group. And I think that's what's really exciting about a guy like Matthew. We're kind of a player we haven't seen like that in Florida in a long time, where even when things aren't going well offensively, he don't care. He'll face wash you. He'll hit you. He'll bump into the goaltender, and he'll create that emotion that way to stir things up. But, the sibling, thing is a cool thing. And I think everyone wants a hard game with nobody getting hurt, especially when you had 167 penalty minutes the game before and not much yesterday. So I think that's where the hype buildup was, thinking it might get out of control, but it was a tight game. So you got to be smart.
How cool is it, Ed? And we heard it again last night. Bobrovsky was fantastic again last night. And then the crowd with the Bobby chants. Look, it was this time last year that we still weren't happy with the play of Bobrovsky. And now after the run to the Stanley Cup final and certainly his performance so far this year has been fantastic. Like a total 180 where he's the guy and everyone loves him.
Yeah, you're right. And the coach said it last night too. Our goalie was good. He made some huge saves and he kept the team in it and allowed them the ability to, obviously end up winning the game. But he's been so good, from when the playoffs last year, coming in, this is the model of consistency. And I think that's the biggest thing with number one goalies. That's how these guys become number one goalies, is that, that each and every night they're going to give your team an opportunity to win. Now, Maurice made a great point yesterday about we haven't had to rely too much on our goaltending being excellent. And because the team has played so well that they're winning games and they're blowing out teams. But I think what's crucial about Bob, when you look at his play, he's made the right save at the right time. And previous years, you might see that stinker go in that kind of demoralizes the team. right now, and I asked the question yesterday after the game to OEL, the confidence playing in front of a goaltender. It brings your risk factor a little bit more up as a defenseman, trying to make that tougher play, to spring something through the middle, just knowing that your goaltender, and both of them, Stolarz as well, are both been unbelievable. But it's good to see the fans love him. The Bobby, now they got the Bobby, you kind of lighten up on the big screen out there. So getting the fans going on that, but it's good for him. He's a hardworking goaltender and he's getting everything he's deserving right now.
Can you explain to novice fans because he doesn't get a ton of goals. Can you explain to novice fans how good Sasha Barkov is out there?
Yeah. I mean, the goals, everybody looks at sports and production. But when you look at the little intangibles of a game, the way he back checks, the way he angles guys, he had dropped a few pounds, so he's a lot quicker now, so he's quicker on pucks. The face-offs, D-zone face-offs, when you're put in that situation to win a huge draw, he just covers everything. We classify it in hockey as a 200-foot player. He can play in the D-zone, he's great in the neutral zone, and he's creative in the offensive zone. And I think that's exactly what Barkov is. He makes everybody on his line that much better. He's a very unselfish player. Sometimes you want him to be a little bit more selfish and take those opportunities and get it to the net. But overall, he's a great leader. He says all the right things. His work ethic is, second to none. But all the little things, right, Zaz? I mean, you look at every sport, there's always those little things that go and thing that sometimes don't end up on the score sheet that are very crucial in a game. And Barkov touches a lot of those areas.
I just know that every time he has the puck in the zone, something really good, might happen right now.
Right. And he has that presence about him because he's got that long stick and you don't know which direction he's going to go, whether he's going to pass it. Most part, he's going to pass it because he likes to move the puck. But he's so big, and once he gets a step on you, good luck. I know as a former defenseman, once you get a big guy, when he gets a step on you and leans into you, he's very tough. The way he controls the boards, center ice position is the toughest position next to a goaltender because you really are the facilitator of everything. In the D zone, you're right in that corner with the defenseman, being that guy out. In the defensive and the offensive zone, you're kind of moving in the middle and you're tracking left or right which way. A lot of the times you could be F1 in on that. So there's a lot of thinking that going into it. And we talk about hockey IQ. Him and Reinhardt are very smart hockey players.
So I don't think the team has a ton of draft capital from trades they made a couple of years ago, the year they won the President's Trophy. But this team is obviously in position. They're a major contender. They're a Stanley Cup contender for sure. If Bill Zito is to go to the trade deadline and try and make a big move, what do you think would be the area he could be looking at?
Right. Well, first of all, sometimes the best trade is the trade you don't make. Last year they didn't make any moves going in, and you see where they brought them. I think you'd have to look, the back end, I think is solid. I think you have Mahura, that's the odd man out right now who's played, a lot of hockey. I think the bottom six, if you can get someone in that, position to really kind of solidify those bottom six, that middle group, would be something that probably Bill Zito is looking at. Veteran, awesome. Something like Maurice, likes veteran players. And I think guys that been through that fight, have the experience, that's in that third or fourth line that you can move up and down the ladder, depending on how the game is going. I think those are the utility guy. One of those guys that you're looking at probably to add at the deadline, if any.
Great job as always, Ed. We'll see you on the broadcast tomorrow night. You're working tomorrow?
I am. Big Excellent. Game, Carolina. Big game.
Oh, I hate the Hurricanes. It was so sweet last year what we did to them. I hate the Hurricanes. Right. All right, we'll watch you tomorrow night. Thanks a lot as always, Ed. Great job. Appreciate it, man.
Anytime, pal.